I paid for my sister's birthday. But the waiter pulled me aside and whispered, "Mom, don't react. Just listen." That's when I heard my own family planning how to ruin me. I used to believe silence meant peace. Turns out, silence can also be power. But I didn't learn that the easy way. My name is Amelia Carter, and if you had asked anyone in my circle 5 years ago, they would have described me as the dependable one, the one who shows up, the one who pays, the one who fixes everything. And unfortunately, the one everyone quietly takes advantage of. I live in Manchester, England, and I'm the co-founder of a fast-growing digital consulting firm called Northbridge Analytics. From the outside, my life looked perfect. Luxury apartment overlooking the city, a sleek black Range Rover parked downstairs, business class flights twice a month. But behind all that, I was exhausted. Not from work, but from family. It wasn't always like this. After my mum passed away in 2016, everything changed. She was the glue, the balance, the one person who saw me, not just what I could give. After she died, my stepfather, Richard Hayes, stepped in fully. I respected him, trusted him. He raised me from age 9. I called him Dad without hesitation. But grief does strange things to people. And greed reveals who they really are. At first it was small. "Amelia, your sister needs help with university fees." "Amelia, family comes first, you understand." My stepsister Lily Hayes was younger, beautiful, charming, and completely irresponsible. Then there was my best friend, or at least, who I thought was my best friend, Chloe Bennett. We met in uni, built dreams together, shared secrets. She was there when my mum died, held my hand at the funeral. I trusted her with everything. Looking back now, that trust was my biggest mistake. The first red flag came 3 years ago. Lily crashed her car, drunk driving. Instead of accountability, Richard called me. "Amelia, you know your sister. She's fragile. She needs support, not judgment." Support? The damages alone were £18,000. Guess who paid? Then came the business loans. "Amelia, Lily has a brilliant idea. A fashion brand. She just needs backing." I funded it. Twice. Both times the money disappeared. No brand, no accountability, just silence. And every time I questioned it, I was the problem. "You've changed, Amelia. You think you're better than us now. It's just money. Why are you being difficult?" Funny how people say it's just money when it's not theirs. Chloe? She always played neutral, or so I thought. "She's your sister, Amel. Let it go. You're blessed. Just help them." She said all the right things, calm, reasonable, supportive. But something about her tone always felt off. Like she wasn't defending me, she was managing me. Still, I ignored it, because I believed in family, in loyalty, in keeping the peace. Until Lily's 25th birthday. She wanted something intimate but classy, which translated from Lily language meant expensive, exclusive, fully funded by me. I booked a private dining room at the Whitmore House, one of the most elite restaurants in Manchester. Crystal chandeliers, live pianist, a menu curated by a Michelin star chef. Everything perfect, because that's who I was, the one who makes things perfect. Richard hugged me when I arrived. "Proud of you, Amelia," he said. Lily barely looked up from her phone. "Chloe?" She smiled, too wide, too rehearsed. Dinner went smoothly. Laughter, wine, toasts. But something felt staged, like I was watching a performance I didn't understand. Halfway through the night, I excused myself to the ladies. I needed a moment, just a second to breathe. That's when it happened. As I stepped out of the restroom, one of the waiters approached me. Young, nervous, He glanced around before speaking. "Mom, I don't mean to overstep." His voice was low, urgent. I frowned. "Is everything okay?" He hesitated, then leaned closer. "Please, when you go back in, don't react. Just listen." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" He swallowed. "The door to your private room, it didn't close properly." A pause. Then the words that changed everything. "I think you need to hear what they're saying about you." For a second I almost laughed. It sounded ridiculous, dramatic, impossible. But something in his eyes, it wasn't curiosity, it was concern. And in that moment, I knew something wasn't right. I walked back slowly, quietly. The hallway suddenly felt longer, colder. The door was slightly ajar, just like he said. I stopped, just before stepping in. And that's when I heard it. Lily's voice first, sharp, annoyed. "Honestly, how long are we going to keep this up? I'm tired of pretending." My stomach dropped. Richard chuckled. "Relax. Amelia's predictable. She won't question anything." Then Chloe, soft, calculated. "Exactly. As long as she feels needed, she'll keep paying." Silence. My world shattered in 3 sentences, and I hadn't even heard the worst part yet. I didn't move. I couldn't. My hand was still resting lightly against the door, but suddenly it felt like the weight of the entire world was pressing down on it. "Honestly," Lily scoffed, her voice dripping with irritation. "I deserve more than this. Amelia acts like she's doing me a favour. It's embarrassing." I blinked. Embarrassing? The same sister whose rent I had paid for 2 years straight, whose business I had funded, whose birthday I was currently hosting. Richard laughed softly, not the warm, fatherly laugh I grew up with. No, this one was colder, detached. "Lily, you need to be smarter about this. Don't bite the hand that feeds you." Feeds you. The word echoed in my head like a gunshot. Chloe spoke next, calm, measured, strategic. "She's emotionally driven. That's her weakness. You just have to keep reminding her of family. Guilt works every time." I felt something inside me crack, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. The kind of break you don't recover from the same way. "So, what's the next move?" Lily asked. There was a pause. Then Richard spoke again. Lower this time. Serious. "We move forward with the transfer." "Transfer?" My breath caught. "What about the company?" Lily asked. "Company? My company?" Chloe answered before Richard could. "She already trusts you, Richard. You're listed as a secondary advisor on Northbridge's financial structure." My heart stopped. That wasn't public knowledge. That was something I discussed, only with Chloe. "She won't suspect anything," Chloe continued. "We position it as restructuring, tax efficiency, something boring. She'll sign." "Sign? Sign what?" Richard exhaled slowly. "Once that's done, we'll have control of the majority shares. After that, we phase her out gradually." The hallway started spinning. "Phase me out? From the company I built?" Lily laughed. "Finally! I'm tired of her acting like she earned everything. It's about time this family actually benefits from her success." Family. At that moment, something strange happened. I expected to cry, to panic, to burst into that room and scream. But I didn't. The waiter's voice echoed in my mind. "Don't react, just listen." And for the first time in my life, I did exactly that. Because now, this wasn't just betrayal, this was strategy. And if they were playing a game, they had clearly forgotten one thing. I built a company from nothing. I knew how to play long term. I quietly stepped back from the door, careful not to make a sound. Every instinct in me was screaming to confront them, to demand answers, to ask why. But another voice, a calmer, colder voice, whispered something else. Not yet. I returned to the restroom, locked myself inside a stall, and for the first time in years, I let the truth settle. They never loved me, not the way I loved them. I was never family. I was an investment. And investments get used. A tear slid down my cheek. Just one. Then I wiped it away. Because tears. They weren't going to fix this. Strategy would. I pulled out my phone. My hands were steady now, stronger than I expected. I opened my voice recorder, paused. Then I remembered something. The private dining room had a smart audio system, installed for presentations, controlled via tablet. I had full access. Slowly. A plan began to form. If they wanted to play behind my back, then I would make sure their own words destroyed them. I walked out of the restroom, this time not as the naive daughter, not as the generous sister, not as the loyal best friend, but as someone who had finally seen the truth and was ready to use it. As I passed the waiter again, he glanced at me, worried. I gave him a small nod, a silent thank you. Then I walked back into the room, smiling, like nothing had happened. "Sorry," I said lightly, taking my seat. "Missed anything?" Chloe smiled. "Oh, nothing important." Lily rolled her eyes. "Just boring adult talk." Richard raised his glass. "To family." I lifted mine too. But this time, my silence wasn't weakness, it was preparation. Because they thought I didn't know. And that was about to become their biggest mistake. I smiled and took a sip of my drink. "To family," I echoed. But this time, the word tasted different. Bitter. Dinner continued like nothing had happened. Lily laughed too loudly. Chloe leaned in, asking me about work like she always did. Casual, curious, observant. Richard played the proud father. A perfect performance. And for the first time. I saw it clearly. Every glance, every pause, every carefully chosen word. They weren't just talking to me, they were studying me, and I had been too busy loving them to notice. But now I was watching back. At one point, Chloe leaned closer. "So, Amel, any big plans for Northbridge? Expansion maybe?" Her tone was light, but her eyes, sharp. Before I would have answered everything, shared projections, upcoming deals, even private negotiations. Not tonight. I shrugged casually. Nothing major, just stabilising things. A lie. Clean. Simple. Effective. I caught the flicker of disappointment in her expression, just for a second. Then she smiled again. Noted. Halfway through dessert, Lily stood up dramatically. "Okay, I have a birthday speech." Of course she did. She tapped her glass. Everyone quieted. "I just want to thank my amazing sister Amelia." She gestured toward me with a smile that now felt rehearsed, for always being there, supporting me, believing in me. I held her gaze, smiled back. "Because honestly," she continued, laughing lightly, "I wouldn't be where I am without her." That line almost made me laugh, because she was right. She wouldn't. "And to Dad," she added, turning to Richard, "for always guiding us." Guiding. Interesting choice of word. "And Chloe," she said, reaching for her hand. "My second sister." Second sister. That one landed. Because suddenly everything made sense. This wasn't random. This wasn't emotional. This was coordinated. Carefully, patiently, strategically. And I had been the only one not in on it. I clapped when everyone else did, even stood up to hug her. "Happy birthday, Lily," I said softly, and I meant it. Because this birthday was going to change everything. And after the cake was cut and drinks kept flowing, I made my move. "I actually have a little surprise," I said, standing up. Lily's eyes lit up instantly. Wait, really? What is it? I smiled. Just something small. Thought it would be nice to capture memories tonight. That part was true, just not the kind of memories they expected. I picked up the tablet connected to the room's audio-visual system, tapped into the control panel. Let's record a few messages, I suggested. You know, something we can look back on. Chloe tilted her head slightly, suspicious, but she didn't object. Richard nodded. Sounds lovely. Of course it did. Because none of them knew, the system didn't just record video, it captured high-quality audio, even in low conversations. And more importantly, it synced directly to cloud storage, untouchable. I handed the tablet to the waiter quietly as I passed him. Can you make sure everything is recording properly? I whispered. He nodded. Professional. Silent. Sometimes the most powerful allies are the ones no one notices. The night went on. Drinks got stronger, voices got louder, and slowly, carefully, I guided the conversation. So, Lily, I said casually, leaning back, what's next for you? Any big plans? She sighed dramatically. I mean, I've been thinking about getting more involved in the company. There it was. I raised an eyebrow. Oh! Chloe jumped in smoothly. It actually makes sense, Amel. Keep things in the family. Of course she did. Richard nodded. We've been discussing it. We, not you and me, them. I let a small silence hang, then asked the question I already knew the answer to. And what would that look like? Lily shrugged. Just having more say, maybe some ownership. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy, Chloe added softly. You've done so well, Amelia, but scaling requires structure, delegation, trust. Trust. That word again. I leaned forward slightly, played my role perfectly. And you think I should trust you? With that. A pause. Then Richard spoke, confident, reassuring. Of course, we're family. There it was, the same word they used to control me. But this time, I wasn't falling for it. I nodded slowly, as if considering it. Maybe you're right, I said. 3 faces, 3 subtle reactions. Lily, excited. Chloe, alert. Richard, satisfied. Perfect. Because what they didn't realise was that every single word they were saying, every suggestion, every intention, was being recorded. And tonight, they weren't just exposing their plan, they were confirming it, in their own voices, and I was giving them exactly what they wanted. Agreement, because sometimes the fastest way to win is to let your enemies think they already have. I raised my glass again. To new beginnings, I said. They all smiled, but only one of us knew what that really meant. The energy in the room shifted after that toast. Not obvious, not dramatic, just subtle. Like a door quietly locking in the background. They thought I was softening, agreeing, finally seeing reason. But I was doing something else entirely. I was collecting them, word by word. Lily got bolder after her second glass of champagne. So, Amelia, she leaned forward, smiling too confidently. When exactly are you planning to sign the restructuring papers? There it was again. Restructuring. The word they kept polishing to make theft sound professional. I tilted my head slightly. Oh, those? Richard nodded immediately. Yes, just standard corporate optimization. Nothing to worry about. Chloe added smoothly. It's really just formalising what we already discussed. Already discussed. Interesting, because I had never discussed anything like that. Not officially, not legally. I smiled faintly. I see. And I did. More than they realised. Because every time they repeated themselves, they made their intention clearer. and clearer. I reached for my glass slowly. So, just to be clear, I said casually, you're saying I should transfer majority control of Northbridge? For efficiency purposes? Richard didn't hesitate. Yes, for the family. Family. Lily nodded eagerly. And it's not like you'll lose anything. You'll still be involved. Involved. Not owner. Not founder. Not decision maker. Just present. Like a decorative piece in a room you used to design. I glanced at Chloe. She was watching me carefully now, measuring my reaction, adjusting her strategy in real time. And that was when I understood something important. Chloe wasn't just involved. She was leading it. The emotional language, the persuasion, the timing. She was the architect. Richard was the authority. Lily was the trigger. A perfect system, designed around me. I leaned back slowly. You all sound very confident, I said softly. Richard smiled. Because it's logical. Logical. Of course, because people always justify betrayal when they wrap it in logic. That's what makes it dangerous. It doesn't feel like betrayal until it's already done. I nodded. I'll think about it. That was enough. Lily clapped lightly. Perfect. I knew you'd come around. Chloe smiled too, relieved, controlled. Richard raised his glass again. To progress. They drank, and I watched them, quietly, because what they didn't notice was the waiter, standing just near the audio console. Calm, professional, recording everything, every word, every intention, every slip. And I had one more move left. I think I'd like to hear everything properly, I said suddenly. They paused. What do you mean? Chloe asked. I stood up, smiling gently. I just mean, if we're talking about something this important, I'd prefer clarity. I picked up the tablet again, tapped a few controls, and without warning, the room audio shifted. A playback icon appeared on the screen. Lily frowned. What are you doing? I looked at her. Calm, steady. Just making sure we're all on the same page. Then I pressed play. At first, nothing happened. Just soft background noise, clinking glasses, music. Then Lily's voice, clear, sharp. I deserve more than this. Amelia acts like she's doing me a favour. Silence. Chloe froze instantly. Richard straightened, then his own voice, calm, cold. Once the transfer is complete, we'll phase her out. A gasp from Lily. No, wait, what is this? Chloe's face changed, fast, calculated panic. Amelia, turn that off. But I didn't, because now it was too late. I let it continue, their entire conversation, word for word, every plan, every intention, every lie. Filling the room like poison finally exposed to air. And then came the final blow. Chloe's voice, soft, clear, strategic. She trusts us completely, that's the advantage. Complete silence. Richard looked at me. For the first time, no confidence, no control, just shock. Lily shook her head. This isn't what it looks like. I laughed softly, for the first time that night. Genuinely. It's exactly what it looks like. I stepped forward slightly, not angry, not loud, just present. You didn't just talk about taking my company, I said calmly. I let you confirm it. Chloe's voice cracked slightly. You recorded us? I nodded. Every word. The silence that followed was heavy, not dramatic, not cinematic, just real. Richard exhaled slowly, like someone finally realising the ground beneath them was gone. Lily looked between all of us, confused, panicking. And Chloe? She wasn't panicking. She was calculating damage. I could see it in her eyes, already trying to find a way out. But there wasn't one. Not this time. I placed the tablet back down, calm, controlled. "You taught me something tonight," I said softly. They all looked at me. I continued. "Family isn't always blood." A pause. "It's sometimes just proximity." Then I picked up my bag. "I'll be in touch through legal channels." And I walked out. No shouting. No tears, no collapse. Just silence. And in that silence, I finally understood something my mother used to say. The loudest revenge is a life rebuilt without permission. And for the first time in years, I wasn't surviving them. I was done with them. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was emotional, but because my mind was finally clear. For the first time in years, there was no confusion about who loved me and who used me. Just truth. Clean, sharp, undeniable. By morning, I had already contacted my legal team. Not for revenge, for structure. Because emotion fades, but documentation doesn't. Within 48 hours, everything shifted. Northbridge Analytics' internal systems flagged unauthorised access attempts. Financial advisors were frozen out of sensitive accounts. And the restructuring documents Richard had pushed? Now under forensic legal review. Turns out, trying to quietly transfer ownership of a multi-million-pound company without proper consent leaves a digital trail. A very loud one. My lawyer looked at me across the polished conference table in London. "Amelia, this is not just unethical. This is attempted corporate fraud." I nodded, calm. "I know." For once, I didn't feel surprised, just confirmed. It didn't take long for the cracks to widen. Lily panicked first. She called me 12 times in one day. Voicemails turned from anger to confusion to desperation. "Amelia, please, you're overreacting." Then, "You're destroying the family." Finally, "Just tell me what you want." But I didn't respond. Because silence, I finally understood, isn't weakness. It's removal of access. Richard tried a different approach. He showed up at my office in Manchester. Security stopped him at the entrance. That alone said everything. When I finally came down to meet him, he looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. Like someone who had suddenly realised the authority they depended on no longer worked. "Amelia," he said carefully, "this has gone too far." I tilted my head. "No, Dad." A pause. "It stopped going too far when you decided I was just an asset." That word hit harder than anything else. He didn't respond. Because there was nothing to argue. Chloe disappeared for a while. No calls, no messages, no explanations. That told me everything I needed to know about her loyalty, or lack of it. But 2 weeks later, I got something unexpected. A letter. Handwritten. No excuses. No manipulation. Just one line. I thought I was helping them. I didn't realise I was helping destroy you. I read it once, then folded it, and moved on. Because understanding doesn't always mean forgiveness. News travels fast in business circles. Faster when money is involved, and fastest when betrayal is involved. Northbridge's internal shake-up became public after regulatory filing delays. Then came whispers, then headlines, then discussions in corporate forums. Not my name, but the situation. A founder nearly removed from her own company by internal family manipulation. And the reaction was immediate. Investors withdrew confidence from Lily's projects. Her lifestyle funding dried up almost overnight. The illusion she had been living in collapsed. Richard's advisory role in multiple firms was quietly terminated. No press release, just silence. The corporate version of exile. And Chloe, she left the consulting space entirely. No announcement, just absence. One evening, I stood in my office alone. Manchester lights glowing outside the glass walls. Northbridge was still mine, still intact, still standing. My assistant walked in. "You've had a call from Lily again." I didn't ask for details, just said, "Block it." She hesitated. "Permanently." I looked out at the city, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger, not even sadness, just distance. "Yes," I said softly, "permanently." And she nodded. Left the room. A week later, I was invited to speak at a leadership panel in London. Theme: resilience in modern business. Funny coincidence. Or maybe not. Someone asked me during Q&A, "How do you deal with betrayal in business and family?" The room went quiet. Everyone expecting drama, emotion, a story of revenge. But I simply said, "Betrayal teaches you something important." A pause. You don't need to raise your voice when you finally understand your worth. Silence. Then applause. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. That night, I sat alone again. But this time it felt different. Not empty, not heavy, just free. I thought about everything. The manipulation, the silence, the waiting, the recording, the truth finally exposed. And I realised something important. They never underestimated my money. They underestimated my awareness. Because I didn't win by fighting louder. I won by watching longer. If you were in my shoes, would you have confronted them immediately? Or waited like I did? And more importantly, do you think family should ever be forgiven after betrayal like this? Drop your thoughts below